So I'm going to keep these top 5 changes on very high level with everyone. So I want to be able to, make sure that everybody understands what's changed, what that looks like, how does that impact your funding and the requirements that you need. So going into the first slide at a high level, back in May, of course, before we get to July, the incentives were spread for when it comes to Azure incentives and priorities reinforced and structured refreshed. In May, it was more focused on Azure incentives were spread across several different buckets: migrate and modernize, innovate, ISV success, advance, and cloud accelerating factor. And what Microsoft decided to change in this, which should really impact more partners, is they consolidated it down all to what they call the Azure Accelerate program, meaning now the deals can be like migrate and modernize SAP, VMware, data AI, apps, agents, and developers are all the key focuses of Microsoft, but also now consolidated, making it much easier for the client. And for those who don't know and understand what the Azure Accelerate is at a high level, again, it's more of an Excel or a more consolidated process focused on, again, VMware data platform, etc. But what that means for you is the most important. It's a more simplified structure, clear priorities, funding and support, predictable payouts, and definitely, more higher accountability for partners to meet these requirements. So they're trying to make it easier for you from a back-end perspective versus have it being scattered through multiple different avenues. So the key takeaway from that is, do fewer things, but do bigger and better. That's Microsoft's quote unquote perspective and maximizing those fundings. So from a rebate perspective, rebates are not going to change. The only thing in short that's going to change is the promotional offers. That being said, is now that Microsoft's released M365 E3, E5, that you can get a 3-year term subscription and a 10% promotional discount, and things like Copilot 365, they can get those 15% discount for those that want to extend that.
And Josh, if I could just add in a little bit here, I want to emphasize they tested out last quarter of last year the SMB funding path for Azure opportunities. And this has been absolutely made a priority here for all of FY26. So if you think, there's no way for me to get there because I can't get an Azure specialization, if you're driving under $1 million in Azure consumption and you get that solution designation, well, guess what? All of a sudden, I do have access, in fact, to Azure funding for any of these different opportunities. On top of that, if you never tried out the Accelerate Factory, I encourage you guys to. You're getting free technical resources from Microsoft. Why not give it a shot, So I just want to emphasize that. Some really cool things that they've made, they put it in stone here for this new year. So sorry, back to you, Josh.
Awesome. So going to the next slide, modern work incentives from Copilots to Copilot plus Power. The easiest way to explain this to you, it used to be back in 2024, it was solely just focused on Copilot because Copilot was new. Everybody was trying to get an understanding of how AI works. And a lot of partners, what they were doing in the past is they were, doing value workshops, small proof of concepts, of course, deployment accelerators, etc. So what Microsoft has changed moving forward is they now want you to focus on the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture, of course, is adding Copilot into Power Envisioning and POC and deployment accelerators. So it's not just taking Copilot per se to focus on Teams, the task in Excel, focusing on things as of what it can do in your Outlook, but driving the bigger picture, meaning they want to see the end-to-end user automation and AI-driven workflows, the overall business goal objective for your clients moving forward. So if you're looking from an earnings perspective to grow that revenue, to grow that avenue, and get more Microsoft recognition, then I would definitely want to bundle Copilot with a Power Platform device moving forward. So what that means pretty much into practice is showing leaders how Copilot answers questions and how Power Automate can trigger workflows based on those answers. So key takeaway here is Copilot would help users. Power Platform helps the organize, scale, and tailor AI to their unique business. Together, it delivers the end-to-end AI plus automation solutions, not just standalone solutions. So From a rebate perspective, the rebates will remain the same, roughly between that 12 to 15%. But from a funding perspective, if you wanting more increased funding flows, you need to focus on bundling the two together, and Microsoft will get grant recognition to that.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll also say on that too, Josh, this is the one program here where there's a high bar here. We need to have a modern work specialization. We need to be in the Jumpstart program and have that ready tier. So it is going to be exclusive for a lot of partners. I just want to make that clear. But if you're able to get there, there is going to be a lot of opportunity available to you. And Microsoft is trying to position it so that you're not just driving Copilot, you're driving Copilot with the Power Platform and building, again, some of these agentic solutions for your customers. So